First question. How long would you imagine to set up a resource-based economy?
Go ahead. Mic on? Mic.
Test, test, test. How long will it take to get the microphone to work? Hello, hello. There we go. All right. Well, is that a loaded question? Of course, we're talking about changing the planet. So to throw a time scale on it is erroneous, I think, on its face. But I look at it this way. I don't expect to see this happen in my lifetime. And I'm doing that to myself on purpose. All right? Think about it. If you're doing this for the selfish reason of I want it for me, why are you doing it? I'm doing it probably knowing that I'm not going to see it happen in my lifetime, and I'm doing it anyway.
I would just add to that there is a value shift that can happen in more of a step-by-step sense. Obviously, the definition of a resource-based economy, and as what Eva said earlier, that we're always in transition. So planting the seeds of these values, which we're seeing anyway, almost forced by the environment, such as this kind of greenwash thing we see in corporate America right now, at least it's a positive notion, even though they don't really understand what they're up against and the public doesn't understand that you really can't have a green corporation because it goes against the very fundamental laws of the market economy. So there is a step-by-step concept that people should keep in mind, and there really is no final end. We can achieve a certain percentage of this in a certain abstract sense. Global unity, obviously, in its final state of optimization, when the world is working together in a systems approach, would be the final definition of it, though.
I was only going to add one thing very quickly, which is that imagine you're in the 1980s. Well, briefly, it's awful. Anybody here think that you would have had Occupy in the 80s? Or things like Kickstarter and all the rest of it in the 1980s, or all of the sort of tiny little, eco-farming thing, the spread of new technologies, things like 3D printing. I spent a lot of time on aeroplanes, and Lufthansa's main article in their January issue was 2013, the year of the 3D printer. This is actually a night and day difference from prior ages. It doesn't feel that way because you got used to it really quickly. So we're already on our way there, and we have a trouble seeing that, I think, sometimes. So let's not finish, but we should applaud already some of the moves that have been made that are in line with a more sustainable sort of system.
I like to remind people, because this is really a transition question, that the current capitalist market system didn't start at like 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. So we need to start asking ourselves, well, when people ask me, what does a transition look like? My response is, well, look around. What does it look like to you? You're in it. This is it. People talking about these ideas is part of the transition. And I like in Eva's presentation when she talked about how even 40% of the way there, even though it may not have every single thing in place, we need to recognize the distance that we've come and what we've come from and what we're working towards. So it is a work in progress.
Just add something very quick to quantify things a little bit. There's an interesting social science study that came out, I believe I saw it first on zeitnews.org, that found that when a particular idea was adopted by about 10% of the population, that was often was often the threshold or the tipping point for it to become adopted by the majority or by a large group of people. So perhaps that's the critical mass that we're talking about that we have to reach and get to embrace the ideas that we're advocating. Anyone else? Next question, I guess.
Okay, next question.